Okay, I believe it's a good place to start. All right. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for joining. It's great to have you here. It's raining here. Not sure if it's raining at your end as well. It's a chilly Tuesday morning. All right. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all traders as well. And if perhaps today is your first time joining, it's great to have you join us on today's edition of the Morning Market Review. Okay, excuse me. All right. So as a quick reminder, on this forum every day we get to look at what's going on in the markets in terms of fundamental and technical setups that we have. Okay, and I always like to mention that we do this with the hope that we'll be able to pick a few entries and trade ideas for today and even for the rest of the week. All right. So we're going to get right to it without further ado. And usually you've joined us long enough on this forum. We're going to start as usual with the majors, and then from there we pick up other assets that we're interested in as well. So check out their important key levels and the potential trade setups on those assets. Again, can be for today and even for the rest of the week. So we could have assets that we're going to add to our watch list as well. All right. And I would also like to add that this is also all of these you listen Monday through to Friday from 8 a.m. Right, 1 hour of quality analysis every day. Okay, so I say that to say we do this with the hope that you've listened long enough. All right, you're also able to come up with your own profitable strategies that eventually gives you an edge over the markets. All right. Right. Right about now, I'm going to um, bring up the trading platform. Okay. Okay. So I want to believe we can see my screen. Can I get one or two confirmations so I'm sure we're on the same page and we can push forward? Just very quickly, if you can see my screen. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Right. Thank you all for the confirmation. Jai Kayode Aziz is saying now, thank you. Additional Clement, thank you very much. I do remain Elvis and Shoyomi. Thank you everyone for the confirmation. James and Ayotunde Christopher. All right. So on display now, we have the USD index. Okay. Now, the USD index, because of course, this is a very important asset. If you look at the major pairs, especially one of the pairs there is usually the USD. So once we understand the direction of the dollar index itself, becomes easier to predict or to forecast the direction of the major pairs that we have, the types of Euro USD, Pound USD, and the rest of the major assets. Okay, so that's usually why we like to start from here. Okay, and this is one that we also looked at multiple times. Okay, especially USD index because of the reason I stated earlier. Okay, so again, I'm going to take it from the monthly time frame, all right, to get some perspective. Now, on the monthly time frame, because quite a very large percentage of us are day traders, all right, or even intraday trader. Okay, we usually don't pay much attention to either the weekly or the monthly time frame for trade decisions, but we can use them to get some perspectives in the market as these time frames are so far out that they may not have much relevance to us as day traders, okay, or as the trader looking for short opportunities in the market, okay. The weekly or the monthly time frame may be uh, too far from you, especially if you are a day trader or a scalper. All right. Let me give you a case scenario. Uh, imagine that you're trying to maybe spy on someone or your neighbor, for example, who lives right beside you. And instead of maybe using just a ladder to spy on your neighbor, instead of using a ladder, you now use, say, a rocket ship. Okay. Now, what happens is the yeah. Thank you very much, Wisdom. Thank you for joining. So what happens is instead of using a ladder, you have now decided to use a rocket ship. All right. Now, what happens is the rocket ship is now in space, and you are so far up that you can no longer see the exact thing that matters to you. Okay. So that's what happens with using monthly or weekly time frame as a scalper or as a day trader. It's really too far. But like I said, we can use those time frames to understand some uh, perspectives in the market, all right? Get a clear perspective of what's going on, all right? And we have such for uh, the USD index, all right? Especially on this monthly time frame. Okay, so it is especially important because if you look at this ascending channel, started as far back as 2011. I've also mentioned this a number of times on this forum. Okay, started as far back as 2011. Supported price pushed up to the resistance side multiple times. We had several attempts here to break above that, but that didn't quite happen all the way back again. Pushed up again, fast forward to 2021, came back to the same support trend line, pushed higher from there. 2022 got to the resistance side yet again. And then the current year, 2025, we have price back at the same trend line support. All right. This candle, this June candle tested that support trend line support. The July candle gave us a bullish engulfing candle. You can see that this uh, green candle is way longer than the previous red candle for the previous month of June at that particular time. All right. And then back in August, this next candle, all right, we got some retracement. And then next to that, some more bearish candle. And now for the current month, we're seeing some push to the upside. Okay. Now, I remember when price got to this support trend line back in June, I was emphasizing the fact that this probably would be the bottom for the dollar index. And so far, price has not broken below that level. Now, imagine we got this period of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 months of favor. You may have to check your end. I believe the audio is good. Favor, you may have to check your end. Favor, you have to check your end. The audio is fine from my end, okay? Wisdom, I I'll come back to it. I want to push forward on this, and then I'll come back to what you just dropped. Okay. Right. So we got these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. 5 months period of bearish move. All right. And then uh, from the 6 month, all right, the uh, price has failed to create new lows. All right. Price has failed to create new lows. Instead, it has stalled. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. This 5 month period has so far stayed on the same spot. Okay. And if you look at what we had previously, it's been aggressively bearish. And all of a sudden, we have this sort of consolidation. Okay. Now going back to the daily time frame, going back to the daily time frame, still on USD index. Now, for me, the daily time frame, I believe, is the best place to start. Okay, I believe is the best place to start. On this daily time frame, you can determine the trend and also important support and resistance levels. So usually, this is my anchor chart where my main analysis is carried out, and then I can tune down or scale down to a much lower time frame for entry opportunities. All right. So, for instance, for me, I'll run my analysis on the daily time frame and then head as low as usually on daily or 4 hours. All right. And then head or scale down as low as the 30 minutes time frame for entry opportunities. Okay. And for me, once you master the art of analyzing multiple time frames like this, you'll continue to get a clearer, more accurate picture of what's going on in the markets, of course. And this is expected to lead to smarter and more profitable decisions once you understand how to uh, analyze multiple time frames. Okay. So, like I said, for me personally, I like to start my analysis on the daily time frame. And of course, sometimes I use weekly or monthly to get some overall perspective. Then mainly on the daily time frame, the main analysis is carried out, then scale down to as low as 30 minutes for entry opportunities because I want my entry to be precise and spot on most of the time. All right. So I remember saying that the market got more attractive since we had FOMC back on Wednesday, 17th September, I believe. Let's check out where that is on the chart. Right, somewhere here. Okay, so price hits this bottom at 96. And then since we got FOMC 17th September, we've seen some fantastic bullish moves from the USD index. Okay, it's been a rough year so far for the USD index, and now we're seeing some bullish moves, which is pretty much fantastic. Okay, now the last time on this forum, we had eyes on the 97.7 price level. I highlighted how this I pointed out how this level is really critical to the direction of the dollar index. Okay. And right about now, we have price above that level quite convincingly. Okay. We now have price above 97.7 level, which is pretty much really fantastic. All right. And that is, of course, bullish for the dollar index. Okay. I remember pointing out that as far as staying below 97.7, that was from last session on this forum. I highlighted the fact that it will smell more trouble for the dollar index and we get a more deeper retracement. Okay, so far that has changed. We now have price above 97.7 level. And you would also notice that the likes of Euro USD and even Pound USD has been pretty much bearish since we got this. Okay, since we got this. All right, so currently, as a summary, we have the USD index currently bullish above 97.7. So what would invalidate this would be we now get a break back below 97.7. But as it is right now, as long as it is above 97.7 price level, it remains bullish towards 98.6 resistance or thereabout that area. Okay. If it breaks below 97.7, then that would also smell more trouble for um, the USD index. So what it means is that on pairs like Euro USD and Pound USD, you be looking for opportunities to take sales, okay? Opportunities to take sales because of the current strength that we have for the dollar index, especially staying way above 97.7 price level. All right. So having said that, I'm going to go back to this down to see what we have. Okay. For A1 wisdom now, that means you'll be so instead of taking your analysis on lower time frames like 15, 30 minutes, you now need to go higher, all right? If you're willing to leave your trades much longer, it means that you're going to take it a little bit higher. I'm talking to A1 wisdom now because of the question you dropped in the chat box. Okay, so you may have to run your analysis like me on the daily time frame, then look for entries on the time frame like 30 minutes or 1 hour time frame, so that when you do that, you'll be able to leave your trades much longer. If you don't have as much time to stay on the charts, okay, do that for experiment with that for a few days, and then you'll see that your results will change drastically. Okay, so that's it for the USD index. Okay, that's it for the USD index. So in summary, above 97.7, it remains bullish towards 98.6 price level. And again, what would invalidate that would be a close back below 97.7. All right, James. Okay, let's look at what we have. Oil, James Ortega. Oh, we got disconnected. Sorry. Oil, right? Oil. Okay, so for oil, we're seeing some big losses, right? This is the daily time frame again, our anchor chart, where the main analysis is carried out. Then we tune down to a much lower one for entry opportunities, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. For the past 4 days around this period, we got this bearish move from resistance uh, around 69 price level. We got a similar pattern back in beginning of September, all right, beginning of September, price hits that resistance and all the way down to 65.9 support. We got an attempt here to break above that, but didn't quite happen. And then next to that, of course, price came down back to 65.9 level. Another attempt to break above that. We saw the spikes and higher prices were quickly rejected and all the way down back to 65.9. Support level. All right. I know there have been concerns over excess supply and expectations that OPEC may increase production. Okay. Now, when production is increased, it means that they're going to flood the market and then there's surplus. Now, when there's surplus, it means that price is expected to crash. And that's what we see play out on the chart. Okay. So it broke below 65.9 support. All right. You see how that level has supported price multiple times. Okay. And eventually we got this aggressive break below that. And now price is back at that same level. It is expected that price tests that level as resistance. Okay. Initially it was supported price multiple times. And then we got this aggressive break or convincing break below that support. This level automatically flips to resistance. Okay, and now price is sitting right there. That's what we have on the daily time frame at 65.9. So with that in mind, we head to 30 minutes time frame now. Okay, so on the 30 minutes time frame, this is what it looks like. We still have eyes on the 65.9 level. Okay, we still have eyes on the 65.9 level. So what that means is that a break or a convincing break below that, and then we get a follow through candle. That's it. We see one or two bearish candles below 65.9. Right, that is convincing enough for price to push lower. So what that means is that we'll now be looking for opportunities to sell below 65.9. However, currently prices are above that. And for the current 30 minutes that we have, if we get some bullish confirmation, some bullish patterns at the end of this 30 minutes, then we see price push all the way to this resistance area. You can see multiple attempts to clear that level. Okay, you can see multiple attempts to break above that level, which has failed so far. Go on right there. Next one right here, and then finally we have price here at the moment. Okay, so price is back at the support. Price is back at the support. So what I said is 65.9 is the price level we have eyes on. Bullish patterns around 65.9, then you may see price get back to all the way to resistance at 66.19. Okay, and then I see something about the audio. Shoyemi Adeleke says it can't hear audio. Okay, can we confirm we can still hear me? It says the screen is still showing, but no audio. Please, I need one or two confirmations to be sure it's still off and you can still hear me loud and clear. Right. So I have plenty of confirmations that the audio is solid. So Shoyemi, you may have to check your end, sir. All right. You have to check your end. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's it for me on oil. That's it for me on oil. Again, this level would be where I have my eyes on. Okay, where I have my eyes on. And then any bullish patterns from this current level would mean that we get higher prices towards 66.19 resistance, the obvious resistance point. Or what would invalidate that would be a close back below that support at 65.9, in which case we may now get further push to the obvious support level and maybe to close this gap right here, right? To further close that gap right there. Okay. So again, as a summary, I have eyes on 65.9 level. The break below that would be bearish towards the next obvious support at 65.35 or thereabout. And then the convincing bullish pattern on this same level, then we expect price to push all the way to the next resistance of around 66.19. All right. So having said that, we move over to um, Euro USD, back to Euro USD. Okay, so we started with USD index. Okay, now if you look at a pair like Euro USD, USD here is the counter currency, and if we say that USD is currently bullish, then we would expect Euro USD here to be bearish. With the break, let me see what Andrew says. Is there a break? We don't have a break yet. Remember what I said is we have eyes on 65.9. Okay, we have eyes on 65.9, and then bearish or selling pressure below that would be bearish for oil, and then which will also be in line with the ongoing sentiment. There are concerns over excess supply and expectations that OPEC, all right, may increase production. And when that happens, it means that there's going to be surplus in the market and that we can expect price to push lower. So I said it aligns with the ongoing fundamentals around oil as well. Okay, and you know how fantastic and profitable oil trading can be. You don't need oil well, you don't need tank farm, you don't need filling station or anything like that. You're only taking advantage of price movement right here. Okay, so if that happens, you get that clear, convincing break below 65.9 level, then it will be a fantastic opportunity to short oil. Okay. On the other hand, uh, buying pressure exactly on this support level would also mean that we're going to get, or higher prices will be imminent for the price of oil. Okay. So back to Euro USD. So I said for Euro USD, to take advantage of the strength that we currently have for the USD index above my 7.7 price level, it is expected that this continues to push lower. And the reason is because Euro USD is the inverse of the dollar index. Of course, what that simply means is that they move in opposite direction. Okay, so this is the 4 hours time frame. This is the 4 hours time frame for Euro USD, and it continues to push lower. Okay, continues to push lower. So what it means is that you also want to check out the best point you're going to join this sell. Okay, best point you're going to join the sell. The best point would have been at 1.1715 resistance. Okay, but if you miss that, right? If you miss that, you still expect more opportunities. Now, heading over to the 30 minutes time frame, resistance at 1.1715, price fantastic A1 wisdom. Prices also below the 50 period moving average, which further signifies weakness. Okay, which further signifies weakness, and can expect price to continue to push lower. All right, as long as the dollar index stays above support at 7.7. Okay, so if you're not in this trade as yet, if you're not in a sell here as yet, you may now need to, number one, wait for some retracements. All right, wait for some retracements and then take yourself in there. Or if you're an aggressive trader and have high appetite for risk, then you want to jump right in for a sell. All right, but for me, I'm going to be waiting for some pullback right here and then take my sell so that I can be buying at some discount. Okay, so I can be selling rather at some discount. Right. That's for Euro USD. That's for USD. So I have a manual for pounds USD, which is also going to be the next one we look at. Euro AUD A1 wisdom, Euro AUD. Right, so for pounds USD, similar to Euro USD, similar to Euro USD. Here we also have price below resistance at 1.345. Okay, below resistance at 1.345. Victoria, the answer is yes. Perspective to the bearish outlook, as long as we have the dollar index above like 7.7, okay, expected to be continue to push lower, okay, and then we're going to have eyes on this next support level at around 1.165. That's for Euro USD, okay. Now for pounds USD, we have eyes on this resistance at 1.345. Welcome back. We have eyes on this resistance at 1.345. Okay, so what it means is that below that, we expect price to continue to push lower. which also aligns with euro dollar since they have similar patterns. Okay, that also aligns with the euro dollar. And then for pound USD here is also the counter currency. And if we say that with the analysis on the dollar index above my 7.7 level, we expect it to continue to create higher prices. Okay, so what that means for pound USD is to continue to have uh, lower prices. Okay, on the other hand, all right. Also, the inverse of the dollar index. So below 1.345 or thereabout, we also look for opportunities to sell. All right, and then the next obvious support level would be towards 34165. Okay, it's towards 34165. And what would invalidate this would be if we now get it close back above this resistance level for 345, then we'll be gearing up for a move higher. Okay, we'll be gearing up for a move higher. So we need to keep eyes on 1.345. Now let's see what this looks like on 30 minutes time frame. Remember the daily or 4 hours time frame as our anchor chart. Then it scaled down to a much lower one uh, for entry opportunities, Okay. Okay. I'm not sure I can pronounce that. Of course, I believe in it. Of course, I believe in it. I trade what aligns with my trading strategy. Okay. I trade what aligns with my trading strategy. So I look for setups, mostly structure, okay, uptrend or downtrend. And then in an uptrend, I'm looking for opportunities to buy. And of course, when we have fair value gaps, other blocks, and things like that, it's expected that they usually act as magnet for price. So usually it is not against my trading strategy. Usually it aligns with it. All right. So it's something that I consider as well. Something that I consider as well. And I think I have one example on USD JPY that I'll get to in a minute. Or one of the other majors where USD is the base currency. Okay. So let's see what this looks like on 30 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes time frame. So we got this convincing break below 1.345, which was initially support. All right. So this automatically flips to resistance. Okay. This automatically flips to resistance. Now, are we going to get a retracement or a retest of that resistance and then expect lower prices from there? Okay, time will tell, right? Time will tell. But of course, we have eyes on the support level at 1.34165. Okay, have eyes on this support at 1.34165. So if I get some retracement or retest of 1.345, all right, I'll be looking at that level for a selling opportunity. Okay, we're looking at that level for a selling opportunity. However, if what I get instead is close back above that resistance, then we get C price push higher above that resistance. But so far, it's looking bearish. All signals here pointing to a bearish bias for pound USD. Also aligns with the fact that we have USD index above 7.7. Okay, but of course, the market has the final say. We we don't stay accustomed or comfortable with a specific trading plan. Okay, we like to consider all scenarios and we like to consider all scenarios equally. All right, you know how rapidly the market's conditions can change. Okay, so that's why we don't get too comfortable with a particular trade setup. Okay, but right about now for pound USD, convincingly below 1.345. We still see some selling pressure below that. All right. So we're looking for the best opportunity or the best spot to jump right in for a sell. Again, I said what would invalidate that would B, we now get it close back above 1.845 resistance. Okay, that's for pounds USD. NZD/USD, I remember I mentioned this, we looked at this last session on this forum, and then I was highlighting these fake outs that we got here. And I also remember telling us that fake outs like this usually will trigger an extensive move in the opposite direction, and that played out quite brilliantly on NZD/USD. Again, fake out simply stands for failed breakout, okay? And like I said, it usually triggers an extensive move in the opposite direction. It's one of my high probability trade setups. When I see fake outs, I like to go all in for fake outs, okay? I like to go all in and go big. For example, if you look at what we got back here, same NZD/USD, this level here, 0.605, key level for NZD/USD. You can see multiple attempts around that area, and eventually price broke above 0.605 key level only to push back below it. All right, so that's our fake out right there. And then, like I said, usually it triggers an extensive move in the opposite direction. Also, if you follow this descending channel, resistance trend line right here and trend line support right here. Okay, you see multiple attempts, right? And so far, price stayed inside of that channel until sometime in September, middle of September, we got that break above the trend line resistance. Okay, now ideally, when this break happened, price should have continued to give us higher highs and higher lows, but that didn't happen. Almost immediately, a few days later, it broke back below inside of that channel, convincingly and aggressively at that, okay? And then that's typical of a fake out, all right? A breakout that failed. And like I said, usually it triggers an extensive move in the opposite direction, okay? And that's what we got there so far, all the way back to the trend line support, okay? So we got some push higher on the tracements, and then now we have price heading back lower. And it's not surprising. Again, we have the dollar index above the 7.7 level, which is bullish for the dollar index. And then because if you look at NZD/USD, USD again is the counter currency, and then you can expect NZD to be bearish, all right? So we take that to 30 minutes. Take that to 30 minutes and then see more selling pressure right there. Okay, see more selling pressure right there. So for me, if you don't have a sell trade yet on this chart, you may want to wait for some retracements. Okay, you want to wait for some retracements before you take advantage of the sell. Except you're an aggressive trader, you want to you have high risk appetite, and then want to jump right in for a sell at the current price level. For me, to take this trade, I need to see some retracements and then buy at higher price. Sorry, sell at higher prices. Okay, that's for NZD/USD. Moving on to USD/JPY, right? Moving on to USD/JPY, one that I also mentioned, all right? Initially, because if you look at the consolidation we had here, lasted for about 2 months, all right? Lasted for about 2 months. I've mentioned multiple times as well that the more an asset ranges like this, consolidates like this, the more aggressive the resulting breakout usually is, all right? And then initially, we got that on USD card. We got that on USD card. You look at what happened here. Yeah, you look at what happened here. I'm just going to look at this briefly. This consolidation right here lasted for about 2 years, okay, for about 2 years, all right, and then eventually price broke above that to the resistance side, and then that gave rise to um, close to 1,000 pips right there, okay, close to 1,000 pips. So this also uh, aligns with what I said about the more an asset ranges, the more aggressive the resulting breakout usually is. Okay, so you we go back to a pair like USD JPY. All right, this here for about 2 months. The consolidation here lasted for about 2 months. Eventually, we got a break, but almost immediately, price went back inside of that consolidation. But fortunately, we got, if you look at this trend line support, right, been supporting price since April, okay, since April. And then we've seen multiple attempts to break below that, but that has failed so far, all right. And then fast forward to uh, middle of September, came right back to that trendline support and then pushed price higher. Same thing, beginning of October, price came back to that support trend line as well. Okay. And finally, we got that push higher and now convincingly above resistance at 150.23. However, it has left some gaps right here, right? It has left some gaps right here, and gaps like this usually act as magnets for price. Of course, the market has the final say. We don't know how quickly this gap will be closed. So that's why I said we don't get so comfortable with a particular trade plan. Consider all scenarios equally, all right, as the market has some potential for very rapid changes. Okay, currently, uh, also in line with the dollar index strength that we have now above resistance at 150.23. Automatically, this flips to support. All right, automatically this level flips to support. Okay, so above 150.23, we would expect price to continue to print higher prices. And what would invalidate this setup would be a close back below 150.23, in which case then turn to or shift to a bearish bias for USD JPY. Okay, so scale down to 30 minutes time frame. All right, so we still have eyes on 150.23. Then see this consolidation right here. And now price is back. Price broke above that, and then we see the retest of that level. So if we get some bullish confirmations at the current level, then it will present an opportunity to long USD JPY. And then we see a close back below 150.525 on this 30 minutes time frame. Then that will shift the bias to a bearish one on this time frame. But overall, as long as the USD index is still above 7.7 level that we highlighted earlier, then it has potential for more upside movement. Okay, it has potential for more push to the upside. All right. USD CHF. Okay, USD CHF. Also to take advantage of the USD strength, we have the trend line resistance right here. See price right there multiple times. Several attempts to break above that. Failed so far since beginning of August. Okay, since beginning of August, right there. Several attempts to break above that has failed. Okay, and then we have price pushing, almost hitting that trend line resistance as well. Okay, so we get some selling pressure yet again around that trend line resistance. Then we may see yet another push to the downside, right? Considering what has happened so far, each time price hits the trend line resistance. Okay, so we expect the same scenario to play out right here. However, if what we get is now a break above the trend line resistance right here, then we see price continue to print higher prices above that trend line resistance. So firstly, we must see a break or a convincing break above the trend line resistance for uh, us to start considering potential for more upside movements. Again, we get some very selling pressure around the trend and resistance. Then we see some push to the downside from that resistance. Okay. That's for USD switcher. Let's see what it looks like on 30 minutes. Right. We see even on 30 minutes time frame, it's still approaching that trend line resistance, still approaching that trend line resistance. Everyone, I thought you were good on Euro AUD. You know, you mentioned it earlier. Okay, so for Euro AUD, this is the daily time frame. Remember, this is our anchor chart where the main analysis is carried out, and then it tuned down to a much lower one for entry opportunities. Right. So on the daily time frame for Euro AUD, you see this consolidation right here, support at around 1.76 and resistance around 1.80. Okay, price has stayed inside of this range. All right. It recently tested 1.76 support level, pushed higher, right? Some form of retracement, and now we're seeing a series of lower highs and lows right there. Okay, so we have support at 1.76 and then we have resistance at 1.80. Okay, so eventually, until we get a clear break either above resistance or below support for these to be more convincing. All right, but for now, we can trade the range, of course, buy at support and sell at resistance as many times as we have that. Of course, let's see how it is on 30 minutes. Okay, so on this 30-minute time frame, price appears to be at resistance, okay, and then we see some uh, bearish candle right there, all right? See a bearish candle right there, which also signifies weakness, okay? It signifies weakness, all right? Price currently is at resistance. You can see what happened each time price tested that resistance, right? So if we get a break above that, then we see price push higher if it breaks above that trend line resistance. Okay. If we see, on the other hand, a follow through candle, yet another bearish candle next to this bearish candle, then that's potential to uh, test the support side of that ascending channel. Okay, GE40. Remember, we touched on this from last session here, touched on the German index, and then uh, I highlighted this inverse head and shoulder pattern. I think it's more obvious on 4 hours. I think last session here, somebody asked about DE30. I think the person was on a trade, and then price, of course, tested the support side, right? To 23,370 or thereabout, right? 23,370. And then close to that support, we also got this inverse head and shoulder pattern, all right? Which is a bullish reversal pattern, all right? And then that played out really fantastic, okay? Played out really fantastic. Pushed all the way close to uh, the top of that range, okay, around 24,626 for DE30. Okay, so right about now, prices above the 50-period moving average, and then we're beginning to see a push towards that 50-period moving average. Okay, if you are an aggressive one, this would be an opportunity to short. This would be an opportunity to short towards that moving average. On the other hand, you're also supposed to be a friend of the trend. So I would rather wait for price to test the 50-period moving average, wait for some bullish confirmations, and then that will be my signal to uh, long the German index. Okay, for me, that would be what I look out for. Right. A girl, sorry, not sure I got that right, but you asked for it and that's it. And then I hope you got that. Hope you got that. Okay. This will be a fine place to leave it for today. We've been able to touch on a number of assets uh, that I believe would present fantastic opportunities pretty soon. Some of them are right up for entry opportunities. Some of them we still need to wait for them to get to a support level or get to a resistance level to make trade decisions. Okay, to make trade decisions. All right. Um, Also remember that the outcome of trade doesn't necessarily reflect your trading ability. Your process, your mindset, and your attitude are much more important. Okay, they are much more important. So, what that simply means is that getting one win doesn't make you a great trader, and getting one loss does not equally make you a poor trader. All right, the outcome of just one trade, of course, doesn't define kind of trader you are. All right. This is when you do it in the long term. All right. This is when you do it in the long term, and then we're able to tell uh, or to separate a profitable trader from a losing one. All right. So don't forget the process, mindset, attitude is a lot more important. Okay. Thank you very much. Gav, again, align with the FBJ you wait for the buy. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay. It's great to hear that. All right. Thank you very much, Kingsley. Thank you, sir. So this is where we leave it for today. Thank you very much for joining. I wish us a great trading day. Don't forget, same time tomorrow from 8 a.m. will be another opportunity where we get to also check out what's going on in the markets and look for entry opportunities as well. Thank you, Kayode. Thank you, sir. Have a great trading day.